Imagine a gaming franchise that sits on overthrowing the almighty Call of Duty, just sitting on the sidelines, out of every game currently in existence. They're the only ones that remotely has a chance to be within the same league of COD remotely. It doesn't have to overthrow it. It's like within the same sort of league, like ISS. You remember ISS and FIFA when that was a thing, and you had like the whole Pepsi and Coke thing going on at the same time. They coexisted. A little bit less now, so, but that recent football game by the Seafood guys kind of proves, there's space for two. But like, imagine if you just like you were there on the sidelines and like you just didn't take it, like you had the money backing you up, all of the money. You're backed by a massive company, one of the biggest in the game industry, and you just sat there and just like threw away the opportunity, just game after game, releasing trash after trash, just fucking up any possibility of making money. Yeah. It's the gaming industry. But here we are. And, Battlefield really is EA's, it's the gaming industry's chance to overthrow COD. This, just, it's, Activision have had their grubby little hands wrapped around the gaming industry's necks for a while now. And it's arguable, like, if it's even, like if they even deserve it. Is Call of Duty good? Like, I don't know anymore. I hear so many. I'm obviously outside of those circles, but like, I hear a lot of people saying negative stuff. You look at these skins and the sort of Fortnite-fication of it all, and like the sort of process they're taking with it. And why do people still play COD? Obviously, there's a need there and a hunger there for a modern warfare multiplayer game, especially in a battle royale arena. So, maybe someone can make a good one. Maybe that's EA. COD 4, Modern Warfare, the original one, that's like one of my favorite, it probably is my favorite FPS of all time. It's between that and GoldenEye. So I definitely have my love for that franchise, but without a doubt, there's nothing really about the recent games that massively appeal to me, including Warzone. And I've tried it, and like there are some stuff about it that is cool, but overall, it's not something I really want to delve into. The game that has sort of, the one that I've been playing the most within that genre is Battlefront 2, which obviously was a letdown. Battlefront 1 was a letdown, and then Battlefront 2 was a letdown, and they sort of built it to the game it is today, and now it is actually quite a good game. Kind of weird that it had a recent resurgence, because it's been good for a while now as well. But I'm all for it, because I still think Battlefront 2, by today's build and standards, is actually quite decent. So yeah, EA is definitely, they can turn things around. We look at Battlefield 2042, a lot of people don't realize that game is actually a remake. Battlefield 2042, the original game came out in like the late 90s, was on the PC, I think, or maybe the early noughties. And that game was phenomenal. Like, if ever there was a game that could be remade, especially for the Battle Royale genre, 2042 should have been it. And a lot of people were burnt by that, and I was definitely one of them. You got the whole Titan stuff and all, like going up to the spaceship, like whatever, they're called Titans, right? And then you have to like take it over and from the ground, like that's so sick. Like that for Battle Royale, that would be perfect. Anyway, you can take that idea, EA, and make it happen. But yeah, 2042, the new one, just wasn't really it, and I think honestly it kind of hurt the franchise a bit, because it came at a time when it could have overthrown COD. There definitely is COD fatigue, no matter what you say. I believe that to be a true thing if you spend a little bit of time online, and there is an opportunity there. That's why I did the intro like that, because like EA are just sitting on this they're sitting on this bag, and they just of money, and they don't capitalize on it. And I'm hoping that's what sticks is. And by all things being equal, on like looking at the reception it's getting and playing the beta this weekend, it might actually be the one to do it, which would be sick. Like a lot of people would say, it's been around almost 10 years since the last really good Battlefield game, and that was Battlefield 1. This seems to be going back to Battlefield 4, Modern Warfare, but then giving it that Battlefield 1 epicness with the destructible environments and the next gen feel and quality, and it definitely has that. Like from playing the beta a little bit this morning, the destructible environments are phenomenal. Like there's something about that is just key and core to the Battlefield experience. You need destructible environments, you need vehicles, and you need obviously conquest mode. That is Battlefield. Without those three components, it's kind of not Battlefield in my opinion. And that's what this game seems to be delivering, especially with the destructible environments. I'm a big old Red Faction fan. It's nice to see what DK Bonanza has been doing recently. A bit disappointing to see the Battlefield 6 doesn't really have like, the ground doesn't open up when a bomb goes off. That would be sweet for the next one maybe, but maybe I'm asking for too much. But in any case, it works. Like it does work well, the destructibility and destructible environments. There's nothing quite like, you're in the middle of a battlefield, you're trying to win the game, but then you just stop to see this building collapse because it's just so fucking cool, and you can use it for your advantage in gameplay mechanic ways where you can if you're in a building and there's bad guys on the floor above you, you can use a rocket launcher, shoot the ceiling, and then they'll fall down, and then they'll be partially wounded, and then you can finish them off. Like stuff like that is fucking sick. That's why I play video games, and that's kind of what I'm hoping they capitalize on. And yeah, I do believe they could. This might be it. Like this, I don't know if they'll completely get one over COD. I think COD is just like a monster right now, and it has been for a while, and it's going to take a while to stop it. But this could definitely take a dent out of them. It's interesting because you go online, a lot of people want to see COD fail, and they want Battlefields to do well. So like they've got the backing, and I'm one of those people. And it's interesting that there's no Battlefield game that's ever outsold a COD game. Like I believe that's right. That's what I've heard online. But at least if you go by year to year release, they always undersell. But I'm hoping this is the moment. The moment where like when originally back in the day in ISS, Pro Evo was the game, and it overtook FIFA, and then obviously FIFA came back in. But yeah, man, I like Pepsi. Okay, I like Pepsi. Going by the original trailers that came out as well last week or the week before, it looks like a campaign is back, very much so. I think it has actually been confirmed. That would be really interesting to see, because obviously 2042 didn't have a campaign. The campaign in Battlefield 1 was pretty sweet. So yeah, and actually Battlefront 2 campaign wasn't too bad either, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I am without a doubt more of a single player gamer. I'm not really much for Twitch shooters, but I'm a casual gamer in that sense, but this is where I get invested because I just find it so much fun. Like the Battlefield gameplay style is so much fun. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do with the campaign. It looks like the whole NATO versus PAX storyline seems kind of interesting. Also, it's kind of nice that it's not America versus Russia, which it was in 2042. Like that's kind of real world coolness there, kind of in a weird, morbid way where it almost feels real. But I think essentially everybody always wants to be the good guys, most of the time. Like if you play a World War II multiplayer game, it always feels a bit weird when you're playing as the Axis. Like you kind of always want to be the Allies, I think. So now it's kind of nice that you're just two kind of militarized teams that are kind of non-reflective of any specific country. But I mean, if there is some storyline there that kind of, you got NATO and then PAX, so, but it feels a bit more broader and a bit more like you don't really care which side you are when you randomly get allocated a team. For me, that's kind of a cool point. So let's go into pros and cons of the beta. I mentioned the destructible environments working really well. There's obviously a lot of touching up that needs to be done in terms of gun balancing. A lot of people complaining about shotgun, which is why, of course, I've been using it the most to level up. It is a little bit cheap, but yeah, I mean, I always find shotguns and sniper rifles to be really hard to balance out in multiplayer games. I've heard other people mention the audio. Like it is technically really good audio design. The thing that DICE managed to do throughout all of their games is incredible audio design, but I've noticed a lot of people saying about how they can't hear footsteps and hear enemies approach or tanks approach, stuff like that, so that's kind of interesting. For me, technically, the biggest thing I've noticed on my base launch PS5 is on performance mode, there's a ton of screen tearing. And it is a good looking game, don't get me wrong, like it looks next gen graphically, but the screen tearing definitely needs to be figured out. I don't actually know what the frame rate is on performance mode on the console, but for all I know it's trying to hit 120, but I'm be surprised if that was the case because it looks way too pretty. So if it's struggling at 60, that's kind of disappointing. Hopefully that's something they can fix. Again, EA have this unfortunate bad reputation of releasing broken games at launch when it comes to Battlefield, and a lot of people online are saying, do not pre-order this game. I'm not going to say do the way you do you. Personally, I want them to succeed and I want them to make lots of money because I want it to be a successful game. And in order for me to play it, it needs to be successful. That's how live service / multiplayer driven games work. So whether or not I'm going to pre-order it, I still don't know. But so far I'm digging this beta. I've still got a lot more to play. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, fingers crossed this is the moment where EA do not fumble the ball, please, video game gods. It's like there's so much money you could make if you invested and made sure it was solid when it releases. Like it just blows my mind. So you're right there. You can see the victory. You can see the money, and like you could have that piece of the pie that COD has. That just every year just churning in, just fucking a meat factory of money. Just that could be you. And EA has the money to back it, so it blows my mind how incompetent management and trying to shit games out in order to reach a deadline for probably shareholders more than anything, as opposed to gamers. And it's like, man, you guys can make so much more money. Anyway, rant over. Quick video I wanted to make because I love Battlefield, and I'm a casual multiplayer gamer, so for me it means a lot, like, to feel this way about a multiplayer game, and so I hope they fulfill what everybody wants, and I hope this is the turning point. It doesn't have to be, completely knocking Warzone and COD out of the pond. There's, like I said, there's space for both Pepsi and Coke, so McDonald's and Burger King, and yeah, so I just like my Pepsi. All right, that's it. Peace. Until next time, stay happy and play Battlefield 6.